Most of us are familiar with the words and music of this great oratorio, The Messiah, but old Yorkshireman Bill Jones had never been to a performance, and he tried to persuade a friend to go with him to local town hall to hear it, but his friend declined. "Nah," he said, "that sort of music's not in my line. I like a good comic song or a lively jig, but I reckon not to this sacred stuff, as they calls it. It's beyond me, that. Another thing, there'll be none of our sort there. It'll be mostly religious folks and swells done up in board shirts and women with not much on. Now you go on by thyself, and then you can tell me all about it sometime." So Bill went by himself, and the next time the old pals met, the following conversation took place. "Well, come on then. How did you get on at Messiah?" "Well," said Bill, "it were fair champion. I wouldn't have missed it for all the tea in China. When I got there, the town hall were crowded. It were chock full of folk, and I had a job to get a seat, but no wonder. It was all them singers. They took up half the gallery, like. There was a chap larking about on the organ, although he weren't playing out in particular, just running his fingers up and down as if he were practising. Well, after a bit, a lot of chaps came in carrying fiddles. Then they brought in the Messiah. Well, that's what I took it to be. It were the biggest instrument on the platform, and it were covered in a big bag. Well, they took the bag off, and then some bloke rubbed its belly with a stick, and you should have heard it groan. It was something like a dying cow. I was just thinking of going when a little chap came on, all dolled up in a white waistcoat and with a flower in his buttonhole, and everything were dead quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. He had a stick in his hand and started waving it about, and all the singers stared at him. I reckon they was wondering what was the matter with him. Then they all started to sing, and they hadn't been going long before they were fighting like cats. I reckon he should have walloped one or two of them with that stick of his. First one side said that they were to King of Glory, then the other side said they were, and then they were at it hammer and tongs. But it fizzled out, and I've no idea which side won. Then there were a bit of bother about some sheep that was lost. I don't know who they belonged to, but one of the singers must have been very fond of mutton, because they kept on singing, "Oh, we like sheep." I couldn't help saying to a bloke next to me that sheep's all right in moderation, but I like a bit of beef myself. And he looked daggers at me and said, "Shh," so I shushed. A lot of women stood up after that, and a load of them looked as if they were, well, getting on a bit, you know. Some of them must have been 65 if they were a day. They sang, "Unto us a child is born," and the chap sang back, "Wonderful," and I thought to myself, wonderful? It's a bloomin' miracle. After that they sobered down a bit and sang about a lass called Joyce Greatly. I've never heard of her myself, but the chaps had, because they all looked mighty pleased about it. Then some bloke got up and said he were the King of Kings, and another one said he was, and then blow me, they all started arguing about it. I was getting a bit fed up when everybody stood up to see what the matter was, and they suddenly shouted, "Hallelujah! It's going to rain forever and ever." Well, at that I jumped up and made straight for the door. I'd had me money's worth, and besides I was thinking if it were going to rain forever and ever, I'd better get home before the floods came. Still, it were a real good do, though. You should have come, but, oh, I do hope they find them sheep.